From this day forward, it's going to be only America first.
Has America first changed global trade forever? Across boardrooms and borders, countries are asking, can we still rely on the US, or is it time to look elsewhere? America first wasn't just a slogan, it became the centerpiece of Donald Trump's economic playbook. It meant slapping tariffs on longtime allies like Canada, launching trade wars with China, walking away from global agreements, and pushing hard to bring jobs and industries back to American soil. The goal? Shield US workers and revitalize domestic production. The ripple effect? A worldwide response, one that may have permanently changed how nations approach trade and economic partnerships. So what does all this US unpredictability actually do to global trade? Let's break down 5 major shifts reshaping the world economy right now.
For years, global investors followed a simple rule: stick with the US or China. But that strategy is breaking down. Unpredictable US policies, tariffs, sanctions, and trade wars have shaken business confidence. Add China's internal crackdowns and growing tensions with the West, and the old playbook no longer works. The message is clear: relying on one economic giant is too risky. Now, companies are moving operations to emerging markets like Vietnam, Mexico, and parts of Africa. These regions offer lower costs and, more importantly, greater political and economic stability. But this shift is about more than just location. Countries are changing how they grow, investing in local industries, building regional trade networks, and focusing on long-term resilience. The global economy is no longer about big versus bigger. It's about flexibility, balance, and finding new paths to sustainable growth. In the decade ahead, the winners will be the ones who diversified early and adapted fast.
Across the globe, a key question began to emerge. Why rely on just one superpower when we can chart our own course? This thinking fueled the rise of friendshoring, relocating manufacturing to trusted allies or back home. Canada, one of America's closest allies, is a prime example. Instead of depending solely on the US, it's expanding trade with Mexico, Europe, and Asia, while investing more in domestic industries. The goal? Reduce vulnerability to sudden policy changes. It's like a family planting a garden after their grocery store keeps raising prices or running out of essentials. They still shop there, but now they have a backup. As more nations follow suit, a new manufacturing network is emerging, rooted in regional alliances and strategic trust. Alongside it, new trade systems are forming, often outside US influence. The world is shifting toward a resilient, multi-centered economy, where flexibility and independence are key to long-term stability.
As the United States continues to retreat from its traditional leadership in global trade, a vacuum will emerge, and other nations will quickly move to fill it. Countries across Asia, Europe, Africa, and Latin America will strengthen existing partnerships and form new economic alliances that will reshape the world order. 2 major blocs will play central roles. The Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, RCEP, will link key economies like China, Japan, South Korea, Australia, and ASEAN into the world's largest trade zone. The Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership, CPTPP, will continue to operate without the US, but will define trade standards across the Pacific. This shift won't stop in Asia. BRICS Plus will expand, Africa will advance its continental trade efforts, and Latin American countries will deepen regional cooperation to reduce reliance on Western-led institutions. These trade blocs will go beyond tariff reductions. They will set the new global rules on digital commerce, AI, labor standards, and climate policy. The US will find itself on the outside, navigating systems it no longer leads. Think of it like this: the US will no longer host the global trade game. Others will create their own arenas, and if America wants back in, it will have to follow the new rules. And when countries stop depending on the US for trade deals, it also starts to weaken America's grip on global economic power.
The US was once seen as the world's most stable economic anchor, but now, to many allies and rivals, it's becoming unpredictable. Countries across Europe and Asia are reducing their reliance on the US, diversifying trade, building regional supply chains, and looking for alternatives to the dollar. Where America steps back, others step in. China is expanding its Belt and Road Initiative, financing global infrastructure. The EU is pushing for digital and economic autonomy. BRICS nations are gaining momentum, exploring new trade rules and even alternative currencies. Even Canada, America's closest ally, is actively growing trade ties with Mexico, Europe, and Asia to avoid overdependence. The message is clear: US dominance is no longer guaranteed. In a multipolar world, power is shifting, and America will have to compete to stay at the center. And that loss of influence? It's not just diplomatic, it's financial too. New currencies and systems are now on the rise.
As U.S. financial tools like the dollar and the SWIFT banking system become more politicized, many countries are beginning to view over-reliance on them as a risk. The concern is clear: these systems can be weaponized through sanctions, restrictions, or financial pressure. In response, nations around the world are actively building alternatives. We're now seeing a surge in local currency trade agreements. Russia and China are settling much of their trade in yuan and rubles, bypassing the dollar entirely. India and the UAE have signed deals to transact in rupees and dirhams. Brazil and Argentina are even exploring the creation of a shared currency for South American trade. Alongside this, central bank digital currencies known as CBDCs are gaining momentum. China's digital yuan is already being tested in real-world settings, while dozens of other countries are investing in blockchain-based alternatives to traditional payment systems. In some cases, where sanctions block access to global finance, countries are turning to barter-style arrangements, exchanging goods directly without using any major currency at all. The message is clear: many nations no longer want all their economic eggs in America's basket. The future of trade will likely be more digital, more diversified, and far less centered on any one superpower.
So, did America first change global trade forever? Perhaps a better way to think of it is that it didn't just change the rules of the game, it kicked the board over. The pieces are still scattered, and everyone is learning to play in a whole new way. What we know for sure is that the era of comfortable assumptions is over. The America First shockwave forced every global company and country to look in the mirror and ask, are we too dependent? Are we too exposed? That moment of reckoning pushed the world to adapt and diversify. The restaurant chain, once happy with its single flagship location, is now aggressively opening new branches in different neighborhoods, securing its future. And as the biggest house on the block drew its curtains, the rest of the neighborhood didn't wait. They formed their own clubs, creating new centers of power and proving that global business no longer has a single, undisputed leader. This could be the beginning of a world of stronger, more self-sufficient local economies, a network of resilient communities. Or it could be the start of a more divided world, where walls go up and cooperation fades. The one thing that is irreversible is the awareness. The genie of economic nationalism is out of the bottle, and for global business, there is no putting it back in. What do you think? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Be sure to check out the related video on your screen for more fascinating content. Explore our channel for even more exciting videos. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Globe Gazette for more incredible stories. Your support means everything to us. We look forward to seeing you in the next video.